Donald Trump's decline is not just a talking point. It's a glaring reality that even his staunchest allies are starting to admit. The man who once dominated rally stages with bombast is now a shadow of his former self, stumbling through sentences and grasping at straws to deflect from his failures. His physical appearance tells the story his words can't hide. Those infamous cankles, swollen, unwieldy ankles that even Alex Jones, the conspiracy kingpin himself, couldn't ignore, a visible marker of Trump's failing health. Jones, no stranger to outlandish claims, sounded the alarm on Trump's trajectory, predicting a collapse within the next 12 months if he doesn't change course. When even Alex Jones is calling you out for looking like a wreck, you know you're in trouble. Trump's attempts to conceal his physical ailments are as pathetic as they are transparent. He's been spotted hiding his bruised hands, perhaps from the strain of clinging to relevance, and positioning objects to obscure his bloated ankles from prying cameras. But the cameras catch what Trump can't cover up: a man whose body is failing as fast as his mind. His weight loss, once touted as a sign of vigor, now only accentuates the unhealthy puffiness in his extremities. A warning sign of heart issues that no amount of MAGA spin can dismiss. The man who once bragged about his great genetics is now a walking contradiction. His frailty laid bare for all to see. And then there's the cognitive decline, a slow-motion train wreck that's impossible to ignore. Trump's speeches, once filled with calculated provocation, are now meandering messes of half-thoughts and bizarre tangents. He rambles about irrelevant details, loses his train of thought, and lashes out at enemies real and imagined, all while the world watches in second-hand embarrassment. His latest blunder, a cringe-worthy comment about Melania's drawers, is just the tip of the iceberg, a symptom of a mind that's slipping and a man who's lost control of his narrative. In a moment that would make even the most hardened cynic wince, Trump managed to drag his wife, Melania, into his spiral of dysfunction. During a recent Oval Office press conference, ostensibly addressing the FBI raid on John Bolton's home, Trump veered into dangerous territory. Responding to questions about the raid, he couldn't resist drawing a parallel to the 2022 FBI search of Mar-a-Lago, where agents allegedly rummaged through Melania's personal belongings. What could have been a moment to express solidarity with his wife turned into a grotesque display of insensitivity. They went through everything they could, including my young son's room and my wife's area. They went through her drawers, Trump quipped, smirking as if he'd just delivered a killer punchline. She's very neat. You know, she's meticulous. The room fell silent, the awkwardness palpable. Melania, a woman who has spent years maintaining a carefully curated image of elegance and detachment, was reduced to a punchline in her husband's desperate attempt to deflect from his own failures. The comment wasn't just off-color, it was a humiliating betrayal. A window into a marriage that seems more like a transactional arrangement than a partnership. The subtext of Trump's remark is even more damning. By casually mentioning Melania's area and her room, he all but confirmed what many have long suspected, that Trumps live separate lives. Their marriage, a hollow shell of optics and convenience. Why else would he describe her space as distinct from his own? The image of FBI agents rifling through Melania's meticulously organized drawers, only for Trump to turn it into a cheap joke, paints a picture of a man so consumed by his own ego that he's willing to throw his wife under the bus for a fleeting moment of attention. It's a new low, even for a man who's made a career out of plumbing the depths. Trump's cognitive decline isn't just a personal tragedy. It's a political disaster that's exposing his hypocrisy at every turn. Take his vendetta against John Bolton, his former national security advisor, whose home was raided by the FBI in a move that reeks of political retribution. Trump, ever the victim, claimed he had nothing to do with the raid, but the facts tell a different story. Bolton, a vocal critic of Trump's foreign policy, particularly his cozy relationship with Vladimir Putin, was stripped of his security detail and clearance on day one of Trump's administration. He was even listed on Kash Patel's enemies list, a chilling reminder of Trump's obsession with punishing those who dare to cross him. This is the same Trump who campaigned on draining the swamp and railing against the weaponization of government institutions. Yet, here he is, allegedly abusing the power of the presidency to settle personal scores. The raid on Bolton's home, ostensibly tied to Trump's displeasure with Bolton's comments about Putin's ambitions in Ukraine, is a textbook example of the vindictive governance Trump promised to eradicate. Its hypocrisy so blatant, it's almost satirical. A man who once decried the deep state, now wielding it like a blunt instrument against his foes. And then there's the Epstein files, a scandal that Trump can't seem to shake, no matter how hard he tries. Trump has publicly called for the release of all documents related to Jeffrey Epstein, positioning himself as a champion of transparency. "Give them everything," he declared, claiming he'd instructed his attorney general to comply fully. Yet, as California Congressman Ro Khanna pointed out, less than 1% of the 300 gigabytes of Epstein documents have been released, just 33,000 pages, most of which were already public. This isn't transparency. It's stonewalling, wrapped in a flimsy veneer of cooperation. Trump's reluctance to release the full Epstein files raises serious questions about what he's hiding. His concern, as he admitted, is that some of my friends and some of the people I know may be mentioned in these files. Really, Donald? Your priority is shielding your buddies from embarrassment rather than delivering justice for Epstein's victims. It's a damning admission, one that exposes the rot at the core of Trump's leadership. Even his MAGA base, typically unflinching in their loyalty, is starting to push back, with figures like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie demanding answers. When your own supporters are calling you out, you know you're on thin ice. For years, Trump's base has been his greatest asset, a loyal army, willing to overlook his lies, scandals, and failures. But the Epstein files and Trump's deteriorating condition are starting to test even their devotion. The MAGA All-Stars Green, Massie, Tim Burchett, openly demanding the release of the documents, a rare moment of dissent in a movement that's usually lockstep in its allegiance. This isn't about deportations or Medicaid cuts, issues where Trump's base has remained steadfast. This is about Epstein, a name that carries a unique weight, a symbol of corruption and moral decay that even the most ardent Trump supporters can't ignore. The testimony of Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's accomplice, only adds fuel to the fire. Her claim that she never saw Trump do anything untoward and that he was a perfect gentleman is so laughably detached from reality that it's almost performance art. Congressman Khanna's outrage was palpable, and rightly so. Maxwell's attempt to whitewash Epstein's crimes and, by extension, Trump's association with him's an insult to the hundreds of victims whose stories have been sidelined for years. The fact that Trump continues to dodge accountability while claiming to support transparency is a masterclass in doublespeak, and his base is starting to notice. Let's call it what it is. Donald Trump is a weak, confused, corrupt shell of a man clinging to power through sheer force of ego. His cognitive decline is not just a personal failing, it's a national embarrassment. A stark reminder of what happens when a narcissist is given the keys to the kingdom. His attacks on Bolton, his stonewalling on the Epstein files, and his humiliating jab at Melania all point to the same truth. Trump is a man unraveling, lashing out at anyone and anything. To distract from his own shortcomings, the Mar-a-Lago raid, which Trump still whines about ad nauseum, is a case in point. His indignation over the FBI searching his wife's drawers is rich, coming from a man who was indicted on 37 federal charges for mishandling classified documents. The Espionage Act violations, the willful retention of sensitive material, these aren't the actions of a strong leader, but of a desperate one, hoarding secrets in a bathroom like a paranoid recluse. And yet, he has the gall to play the victim, to cast himself as the target of a Democrat hoax while his own actions betray his guilt. Trump's corruption extends beyond his legal troubles. His refusal to fully release the Epstein files, despite his public posturing, suggests a man more concerned with protecting his cronies than delivering justice. His base may be starting to see through the facade, but Trump's ego won't let him admit defeat. Instead, he doubles down, deflecting, with crude jokes and incoherent rants, each one a nail in the coffin of his credibility.